if you haven't, you can come up and grab those now. If you haven't grabbed any of these forms, the parents' guide, the parents' information guide, all those things, go ahead and come grab that now. So tonight, I just want to go over some real basic information about Falls Creek for you and your students. That way, we don't have to repeat ourselves too much whenever we get down to camp. But I know there's a lot of you that I've probably not met. My name is Steve Hall. I'm the student pastor. And so if you wondered that, I shaved my beard recently, and so I may look like one of the students. So just to clear that up, I am the youth pastor. So I'm excited that your student is coming with us to Falls Creek. And man, we're just excited to get to have camp, all right? Last year, obviously, didn't get to have much of anything, at least here at Waterloo, and Falls Creek was no exception. And so I'm excited that we're able to do camp this Sunday at this moment up here and back to normal, right? So a couple things before we jump into the meeting that I want you to know about. The first thing is you should have received what is basically a Falls Creek health questionnaire, all right? So basically, it's a COVID screening is what this is. And so what you need to do is you need to fill that out, but you don't need to fill that out tonight. That needs to be filled out 24 hours prior to camp, all right? So if you could fill it out 24 hours, that'd be on that Sunday. Fill it out, bring it with you, have your student bring it with you to registration, everything Monday morning. It does have to be signed by you as a parent, all right? But that is just one of those deals. They're just asking us in our precautions and the people that are coming to make sure that we're being diligent. One thing I will let you know is that Falls Creek, in if you're just walking in, by the way, there's handouts and stuff up here, and if y'all can just have a seat, and we're gonna have a little bit of a meeting. So y'all feel free to come up and grab these handouts. It's totally cool. So there's no mask required at Falls Creek. All right, so no mask, nothing like that. But here's a couple of caveats to that. The first one is if your student wants to wear a mask, they're welcome to wear a mask, all right? They can wear a mask if that makes them feel more safe, more secure. We welcome that. We're definitely not going to allow any sort of mask shaming, okay? I know that in a room with this many people, there's about 50 different opinions about masks, all right? And we don't care about those this week. So if your kid wants to wear a mask, we're going to allow that, and we're not going to say anything to him about it. The one thing that I will say to you about that, though, is that if your kid does wear a mask, they probably will be in a very, 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 very small minority, all right? I just went to Super Summer a couple weeks ago, and I would say that like 99.5% of people were not wearing masks, all right? So there probably won't be a lot of people wearing masks. I don't believe any of our adults, myself included. I got shot 2 times, so I didn't have to wear a mask, and so we won't be wearing them. Your kid is welcome to wear them, but I just want you to know that, and I also don't want you to be under the illusion that if they come to camp wearing a mask, that a lot of other people will also be wearing a mask, because that's not the case. And also just be aware, and that's part of this COVID screening, is just recognizing the fact that, hey, we're glad that things feel like they're back to normal, but unfortunately, COVID is still out there, and it is still a reality, and it unfortunately could crop up at Falls Creek. We hope and pray it doesn't, but there is that chance it could. The next thing I want to point your attention to is the schedule. There's been a slight change on the schedule that was in your packet versus the schedule that you are given here tonight that's up here on this table, all right? The first one, and the big one really, that you need to know is that that you need to be here at the church at 11 a.m. on Monday, all right? You need to be here at the church at 11 a.m. on Monday. Please do not ask me what time we are leaving, because I will not tell you. So just be here at 11. The reason I do that is morning tabernacle is like 11:30, or in cabin was at 11:30. In cabin's now at 9. That's not a big deal for you as parents, but that's the only other change on there. If you've got this guide that has the Glory logo on the front, if you want to take it out and turn to the frequently asked questions section. It's a little bit of a mouthful. Frequently asked questions section. I want you to make sure and go over a couple of these things briefly. The second question there is, are scholarships available? I want to encourage you, make sure that you know, yes, scholarships are available. We have a lot of people here at Waterloo Road that give generously to a designated fund that rolls over every year, that we have scholarship funds available. We definitely don't want that to be an excuse for anybody to not be able to go to camp, is, hey, we can't afford it. There's no shame in a scholarship. I get it. 165, 145, 100, whatever you're paying, whatever price range you're at, that can be pricey, especially if you have more than one kid that's going. So I get that, but just let us know, all right? I know there's other things that may come up and hinder a kid from going to camp, but we don't want money to be that hindrance, all right? So if you know somebody that has said to you, hey, I'd love to go to camp, but I can't afford it, tell them, hey, that's not an issue, that's not a problem. We just let us know, hey, I need a scholarship. Maybe you need a half scholarship, partial scholarship, whatever you need. Please communicate that with us, and we will definitely take care of you on that. How do you pay? Just make sure that you know how you pay. I've had a couple ask. You can make checks out to WRBC. You can also attach if you've got cash, if you're still carrying around cash. I think cash almost went extinct during COVID, but if you still got some of that, if you got cash, we don't take Bitcoin, but we will take cash. And so if you've got that, just mark on your form as you turn it in that you put, $165 worth of cash. That way, Rebecca, our financial secretary, will be able to know where that money needs to go. You can also pay online. If you go online, if you pay towards the general budget, Rebecca will be able to find that. There's very specific prices that are coming through, like 165 or 145 or 150. She's going to know those numbers are going to be for Falls Creek. And so she's going to be able to match your kid's name up with that and take care of that. So just if you want to pay online, that is the other option. And if you're going to make a checkout, like I said, make it out to WRBC. All right. The next thing is, can I leave early or show up late? Can I still go? The answer is yes. So if you have a friend that's like, I can only go part of the week, half of the week, we get that. We want them to still be able to go. Just communicate that with us, all right? Put that on your form. If a parent's coming down to pick your kid up from Falls Creek, we need to know that, all right? Here's the deal, and I don't take this the wrong way, but there's a lot of you in this room that this is the first time I've ever seen you, okay? So if I see you again in 2 weeks in a completely different environment down on a Wednesday in the middle of camp in 120-degree heat, and you're like, I'm here to pick up that kid, I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know who you are, right? Like, who are you? So please make sure that you let us know very specifically who is picking them up, the name of that person who's picking them up, so we can verify that that is the correct person. I don't know, maybe that seems harsh to you, but as a parent myself, it doesn't seem that harsh to me. So we just want to make sure that if we're sending your kid home with somebody, it's the right person. Is everybody on board with that, right? You want us to probably send your kid home with the right person. Okay, I'm just joking. Some of y'all, it's okay. We will send your kid home with the right person. But just communicate that with us. Put it on the form. That'll be super helpful. But yes, you can you can come late. You can leave early. Just let us know. The next thing is, a parent, can you visit camp? The answer is yes. We would love for you to visit camp. We would love for you to come down to camp to hang out. It's a $3 charge per person for a day fee. And so, you pay that at the gate when you come. You don't pay us that or anything. Again, the one thing that we ask of you is just to let us know. In that packet, there should have been a sheet in the original packet that you got that has my cell phone number. If you just don't mind just sitting, I've got reception down there. There's an AT&T tower down there, so I'll be able to get your text messages. If you don't mind just sending me a text message, say, hey, we're coming down on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and we're going to be here for dinner, and blah, blah, blah. Just let me know, all right? Because like I said previously, as far as dropping kids off with people, we definitely want to know if we just see a random adult in our cabin, like, if they're supposed to be there, all right? So we just want to make sure that we know. And also, so if you want to come for lunch or dinner, we want to make sure that we have plenty of food. And we will, but we just want to make sure that we're thinking ahead for you. We would love for you to join us for dinner. We'd love for you to come to an evening worship service with us. You can also watch the worship services online. They'll be live streamed every night if you're interested in that. And so the one thing that we do ask is that you leave before in-cabin time, all right? We're not really having any overnight guests, all right, this year, and so we would ask that you go ahead and go back home before the in-cabin time, not the tabernacle time, which is the worship all together, the whole camp, but our own specific in-tabernacle time. And you'll probably honestly want to go home anyway because that starts at like 10:15. So I'm assuming most of you will be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go home. The next thing is, how is medication handled at camp? You will check in any sort of medication that needs to be checked in when you get here. On Monday, we will have a person designated to take those and to make sure that they're available in the mornings and the evenings whenever your student needs it. You'll write the instructions and everything on the envelope when you turn that medication in. Obviously, things like a rescue inhaler, those things need to stay with you. Okay, anything that you could need at like any moment's notice, that needs to be with you. We don't want that. So please don't send that with us. All right. So that's how medication's handled. Do you need spending money at camp? So I'll give you the answer that all the parents like and all the students hate. The answer is your kid doesn't need any money for camp besides you paying for Falls Creek. All right, they don't need any spending money. Now I know the students are like, dude, you're ratting us out, man. This isn't cool. Okay, I'm not coming to camp now. But they really don't need it because our cooks do an incredible job. They'll be well fed. We have snacks. They'll have water, okay? Like we'll give them the basic necessities to keep them alive during the week of camp, even go a little above and beyond. So they technically don't need any spending money. But unfortunately, as you know, your kid is a teenager and it's like, but mom, right? Like I need money. So I would say, I don't know, 20, 25 is typically good. That's if you want to go buy like 2 ices a night. If you want to do that. Maybe a little more if they want to buy a t-shirt or something in the gift shop. But that's totally up to you. I don't want to tell parents like, hey, the only money I need from you is the money for camp. All right. So outside of that, you're good to go. Here's the last one: are cell phones allowed at camp? Are cell phones allowed at camp? The answer is they are allowed at camp. If you want to as a parent, though, if you want to make the decision that my kid doesn't need to bring a cell phone to camp, that would be great, all right? Like if you want to send your kid without one, totally cool. But if they come with it and you allow that, that's fine. The one thing that we do, we have a 3-strike policy when it comes to cell phones, all right? The first strike is, hey, please put your phone up. The second strike is, hey, this is your second strike or second warning. Please put your phone up. The third one is, give me your phone. And there's no arguments at that point, all right? It is very much like, a dictatorship at that moment. The phone is ours. We'll take it. We'll call mom and dad and make sure that they know what's happened and make sure they have the, my contact and somebody else's contact to be able to get a hold of your kid. But it's 3-strike policy, all right? And the third strike, just like if you're familiar with baseball, is you're out, all right? Your phone's out. And we will not give the cell phone back until we get home on Saturday. So whenever all your friends are texting and like talking about how great their trip was and catching up on all their snaps or TikToks or whatever it is that you're doing, you'll be that person over there without a cell phone. And I'm like, man, I wish I had my phone. Yeah, just follow the rules, right? So now here's the deal. Let me just make sure that you understand some things about that. We're not going to be like crazy legalistic about this thing. If a kid during worship pulls their phone out of their pocket, they look at it, or they send a text message real quick and they put it back in their pocket and they don't ever take it out for like the rest of the night for the most part, that's not a strike, all right? They may be texting somebody they don't need to be, but they may be texting you as a parent. We're not going to knock them for those type of things. If they're wanting to put stuff on like their Instagram story, man, we'd love that if you would put on your Instagram story that you're at Falls Creek and share that with people. I think that would be really cool. So we're not going to, those type of things, we're not going to like, strike, give a strike towards your kid and their cell phone because of that, all right? And so just know that, like, so I don't want you to be like, oh no, we see a phone, and it's like, boom, strike one. So that's not how it will work, but we do want you, if you want to take, I had this question the Sunday at our other meeting, if your kid wants to take notes on their phone, we get it, that's fine, but do know that our adults will be sitting towards the back, And they can tell. I know teenagers think they're very, very smart, and they are smart. Y'all are smart. But we do know the difference between I'm taking notes versus I am taking notes of the sermon, or I'm texting a friend, or doing something different. That's usually when your head's down the whole time. And I'm taking notes and realizing I don't know what kind of notes they're taking, but they are definitely not taking notes. All right? So just know, like, you may think you're sly, but you're not that sly. So and that'll be at our discretion too, just FYI. That'll be at the sponsor, myself, discretion. If we feel like it's excessive and they're like, well, I was taking notes, then, y'all lose in that situation, unfortunately. So, okay. Cool? On cell phones? Makes sense? If you have questions about that, let me know. The next page, if you can go to this. By the way, I will have a time at the end. If you want to ask a question, you can. I may be running through some of this kind of quick. But the parent information sheet. Parent information sheet. This gives you all the good info that you need for camp. How do you pray this week? Obviously, Falls Creek is a fun, exciting camp. Teenagers all across Oklahoma for the last, 100, it's been 100 plus years, I think, yeah, have been going down to Falls Creek. It's an awesome thing. And it's also a time that we hope and pray that your students encounter Jesus in a very real and personal way. Like, that's our prayer, is that they would have a life-changing moment experience at camp. That's one of the reasons that we are kind of so hard on the cell phones, all right? Because one of the beautiful things that we get to do at camp is we get to disrupt the normal rhythm of a teenager's life, right? Everything's disrupted. Everything's kind of slowed down a little bit to where maybe, by the grace of God, they can get to a place where they can hear from the Lord in a very real and personal way. And so that's our hope and prayer for camp. You can be praying for that this week, praying for our other students as well. There's some different recreation options. When you get here on Monday, you can sign up for different recreation options and all that kind of stuff. That will be perfectly fine. There also, make sure, this is a big one, obviously, make sure that there is a release form filled out for every camper and signed by parent. You'll notice that up here, there's two different release forms, all right? There's a release form for Falls Creek. That's their release form. And there's also a release form that is for our church specifically. And so since you are going with our church, since you will be probably riding vans or buses that have been paid for and rented by our church, we will need you to sign the WRBC release form. The good news is, if you come to another event for the rest of 2021, that release form for us is good for the whole year. If you came to the weekend back in February, you more than likely signed up or signed one of these forms, all right? So make sure that you get both of those signed. Here's the deal. If your kid shows up on Monday and they don't have one of those forms signed, if you can't get a form signed immediately, like, they can't go to camp with us, all right? They have to have that signed by a parent before they get on the bus to go to camp. And I would also just ask you as parents, please don't depend on us and our secretaries to make sure that every single person has signed a release form, all right? We'll do that. We're going to check through and comb through, but please, it's your responsibility to make sure your kid is taken care of for camp, all right? So please make sure that you do that, because we don't want to be in a situation where we have to send a kid home, or we can't take a kid because they don't have a release form to go to camp. There's a couple of things. Falls Creek Code of Conduct on the next page. More information about visiting Falls Creek. There's also some Falls Creek office phone numbers as well. If you want to send mail to your kid, like the old school way, like if you want to do some mail, you can send a mail to your camper. I believe our cabin number is 616. That is the cabin we are in. And so it is FBC Perry, and you can send that way. I will tell you, if you don't have my cell phone number, I'll give it to you. Please don't send me spam calls or anything. That'd be great. But it is, if you're ready to write it down, it's 405-788-2908. 405-788-2908. Sorry? Yeah. 405. Oh, my name's Steve. Steve, yeah, sorry. if you still have the packet, it's got that number in there. There's also a number for our office, and there's also a number, again, to call Falls Creek. If there's an emergency, like you need to get a hold of your kid like within the next 30 minutes about something, I would encourage you to call 3 numbers to make sure that people are reached and we know, because you'll call the office will make sure that I've heard from you. If you text me, there'll be another thing that's in call Falls Creek, because they'll be able to locate your kid and come to the cabin. If there's something like that, if it's something that's not a big deal, if you want to just contact the church office and just tell them, hey, will you get this message to Steve? They can do that. Or you're more than welcome to send me a text, but just, unless it's an emergency, I probably won't respond right away. I would encourage you, if it is an emergency, you need to get a hold of me. Please don't text. I've had parents do that where they send a text message like, I need to find my kid and get this information to him like quick. So if it's like urgent, please just call. That will be a good indicator to me that I need to pick it up. All right. And then again, I wouldn't call the Falls Creek number unless it's absolute emergency. Okay. So, all right, that's it right there as far as all of those things. There's also a page. You go to the next page. Has some camp requirements, as well as some things that are not allowed. Some of those are pretty specific, pretty self-explanatory. What to send. There's a what to send section for you, for your kids, what to send with them. All that info is there. If they want to bring any recreation stuff, that's there. It doesn't rain a whole lot in July. I know it's rained a lot this month. But at Falls Creek in July, it doesn't rain a ton, but it wouldn't hurt to send them with a rain jacket or an umbrella or something like that. When it says a flashlight, like if you've never been down to Falls Creek's like a little small town, all right? It's basically, it's literally got its own zip code. It's a small little town in the Arbuckle Mountains. But there are some areas that maybe are a little darker paths walking. They're not unsafe, they're just a little darker, all right? So if for some reason, if you need like a flashlight, I think to make sure you're not stepping on stuff, but they'll be fine. The big thing that I would tell you is, let's see, please bring hygiene products. Please make sure your kids bring hygiene products, okay? I say this every year, but Axe does not cover a multitude of stink, all right? Just doesn't. I know, especially the middle school boys, and sometimes girls, you're kind of gross too, okay? Like, I've got sisters, I know. You guys get off easy. Like, I don't do anything. Like, yeah. Listen, please bring hygiene products because there's a point on Wednesday or Thursday where there's parts of that cabin, because of some of the things that are on the floor, that COVID is like the least thing that we will worry about in that moment, because there are a lot of other things to be concerned about. So please bring hygiene products, and we'll have some extra just in case, but we won't have a ton. So please bring that. And look, if your kid forgets something like a toothbrush or shampoo, please just tell them to let us know. They don't, like, we've had kids before that they felt like, oh no, they're going to be mad at me. We're not going to be mad at you. We'll be mad at you on Thursday if you didn't tell us and you smell terrible. If you tell us on Monday, we can send somebody down to Davis or something, or Sulphur, and get you some stuff that you'll have for the week. So just let us know. We want to help you out on that. The next page also has the dress code information. Here's the deal. The dress code, that's never an issue. Never have an issue with the dress code. Obviously, that's a joke. We always have issues with the dress code. And here's the deal. The dress code hasn't really changed a whole lot, but for some reason, every time teenagers show up down at Falls Creek, even though they've gone 20 times, it's like a surprise. You're like, what, you can't wear tank tops? I've worn tank tops. Yeah, it's been the same rule for like the last 12 years. The shorts, still inappropriate, all right? So listen, here's what I will say to that. I know that throughout the year, and maybe at school, the dress code standards are a little different than what Falls Creek has here. There's also, for you, the guys, people that are a little more visual learners, there's a visual aid on the back part, and so you can kind of check that out as well. But I get it. I know one of the rules is kind of strange is tank tops, especially in July. All right, everybody's going to wear a tank top in July because it's 120 degrees, but that is a rule that Falls Creek has, is no tank tops. All right, so just kind of look through those, make sure you understand that on the shorts. On the different things you can and can't wear. And We don't want to, I know maybe some teenagers think we enjoy it, but we really don't like to get on to people about the dress code. It's just awkward, all right? We don't want to have to do it. We will, but please have your student do the best to follow the dress code. Now, the question you may have is like, well, we don't have any shorts that fit that dress code. Figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. All I'm going to tell you is that if they show up at camp and they're wearing shorts that are not meeting dress code, they will be told by either us or Falls Creek Courtesy Patrol or both to go change. And if the only thing they have to wear for the whole week is those ugly jean shorts that you packed for them, then that's what they got. So those won't be fun to play volleyball in. So just whatever it is, I'm not going to tell you to go buy shorts. You can find some cheap ones. I know your kids don't want to hear that because they're like, I don't want cheap shorts, but just know that we will be doing our best to follow the dress code, okay? And also the one thing too that we'll be shutting down is like there will be churches there and kids there that will probably be breaking the dress code, but probably like you've said as a parent, like, hey, those aren't our kids. You're not their kid, right? This is the dress code that we're enforcing, that Falls Creek has given us to enforce as a group. The last thing I will say as far as discipline, I know you can have fun and still follow the rules. I know there's some that are like, man, I don't think so, but you can have fun and still follow the rules. The rules aren't like oppressive or anything. They're not super strict. They're pretty simple to follow, but we definitely will be enforcing rules, and those are all kind of listed through there. We as students obviously respect sponsors. Like, I don't mind if I take a little bit of attitude from a teenager or some flack. Like, I'm getting paid to be at camp, which is really cool, and I'm thankful for that. I'm not giving up vacation. I have some other adults and sponsors, they are giving up vacation, and I will just tell you, as a parent and for your kid, if you want to know that we're really, really kind of just get under my skin really quick, it's when you mess with our sponsors, all right? That's a pretty quick trip to a place that isn't going to be very pleasant, all right? So I'll take a little bit of attitude and a little bit of grace. Sponsors, I won't put up with a whole lot, all right? So because they're sacrificing their time to be at camp, being away from their family, giving up a week of vacation they could be spending in like Colorado or something instead, but to be down in Hades, which feels what Falls Creek feels like at that point, all right? So please help us out on that. We still operate kind of under like a 3-strike sort of policy on that, all right? Like, if the 3rd strike, that doesn't mean that your kid's going home. That just means that we're going to make some additional actions, which typically will result in just a phone call to you as a parent, be like, hey, this is what we're dealing with. What do we need to do? Do you need to talk to them? Most kids, that's usually a pretty quick, like, okay, don't call the parents. I can self-regulate, right? And at the very extreme, we will, if we have to or need to, we will send a kid home from camp. We do not want to do that. It's very unpleasant. But if we feel that there's a hindrance to camp or to the environment or climate of camp, we will send kids home, all right? It takes a lot to get there, but that is the extreme 3rd strike. All right. We're going through that all really quick. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that I didn't cover that I can answer for you that might be beneficial to the whole group? Yes. I believe, I don't know this off the top of my head. Let me double check. Let me read through that real quick and see. And so if you want, just hang out for just a second afterwards. We'll see if that's the case. I feel like maybe, but obviously you can't drive anywhere else on campus. But let me just double check and make sure that before I say yes. Any other questions? Yes. You can if you want to. If you want to play volleyball, we'll need for our sponsor team. If anybody's really good at volleyball, let me know now, okay? Not that we want to win, but it would be important.
You also mentioned shuttles. There's a shuttle bus service there?
There is. It takes the kids back and forth from the rec fields up to the cabins, yeah. Yeah.
To drag parents around
Not particularly, no. I mean, there's still a lot of walking to the shuttles and back, but the rec fields are a little ways down the mountain from the main campsite area, so, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'll take that as I explained everything perfectly. And if you do have a question, though, that you're like, I don't know if I really want to ask in front of the whole group, and it may not. Yes, back there. Student to adult ratio off the top of my head, 4 to 1. Yeah, it's 4 to 1. We are right there where we need to be as far as at last check anyway on the ratio. I'll also just mention with that too. We do. Don't come on, Emily. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at that. He's a children's minister, so I guess it is funny. But we do background checks, of course, on our adults, and so know that the screening and not just background checks. All right, like that's the bare minimum. We make sure that the adults that we're bringing to camp are adults that are trusted not only by me as a student pastor, but by our church. Many of them are already helping in our youth by teaching Sunday school or leading discipleship groups or coming on Wednesday night. And so just kind of know that. Yes, obviously we do background checks on them, but we also we don't just let anybody that can pass a background check to go to camp. All right, we definitely want the best, and we want to make sure that they'll be good as far as for camp. So good question. Yes. Other questions? Oh, yes.
If we filled out a packet like a month ago, is there anything additional other than the COVID screening form?
There's not. Yeah, if you filled out that packet a month ago, you're good. Yeah.
Unless they're students 18.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, if you're a student or you have a student, if they are 18 or if they turn 18 at any point during the week of camp, we do have to run a background check on them. That's required by Falls Creek. And so we'll need all that information. Specifically, Emily Townley, who's our children's minister, she will need all that information because she runs our background checks. And so that's no cost to you or anything, but we are required by Falls Creek to do that. Even if they turn 18 on Saturday, and like they weren't born until like 4 o'clock, like they still, even though they'll technically be home, we still have to do a background check on them. Yes? The age group of the students, 7th through 12th grade. Those that finished 7th and those that finished 12th grade. So.
Did you run a background check on Emily?
Emily's the one who holds the keys, so I don't know. Hopefully she ran a background check on herself. So, yeah. We don't know if she passed it, but she ran it. So we don't get to see it. No, yeah. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Again, just praying for an awesome week of camp. Excited about it, and I'm praying for you and your student. If you have a question, you can come up here to the front, and you can ask me anything that maybe wasn't covered tonight. So let me pray for us. And then you guys will be dismissed to leave. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this time that we can gather here. Thank you that we're able to go to camp. We're thankful for just a great week of Falls Creek. And I just pray, God, right now for the students in this room, the students that aren't in this room that are going, God, that you would begin to prepare them. And God, that they would be ready to hear from you. And God, that there would be those that you would meet and radically change the trajectory of their life this week. So Jesus, we love you. We ask all this in your name. Amen. All right, you're dismissed. If you have questions, come up here. I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you again for being here. We'll see you in a week and a half.